Oh well. Cool. Hello, welcome to the July vlog. This is going to be a super fast one. Just going to go through a few projects. I'm not using the a secondary microphone. It's just the built-in one, and I'm not bothering with the lights because, like an idiot, I've left us till the last day again. So you might also hear a bit of road noises, which is just to be expected. Right, so let's look at this in a minute, but let's just quickly go through the games played. So games played for this month were Unfold, Victim of the Pyramid. There's a lovely one done by Alley Cat Games where basically it's an escape room, but as you solve puzzles you get to unfold this sort of cardboard map. Really, really clever, really well done. And then later puzzles involve like different bits and pieces. You'll find little props as you go through each of the sections, which I thought was really, really good fun. Great theme as well. Next one was a little tiny dungeon crawler called Dark Tomb Bloodthorn Island. It's basically a micro dungeon crawler where it's stripped down to its very, very basic elements. You know, instead of miniatures, there's cubes, and there's tiny little everythings on there. Tiny little like diagrams and all that sort of thing on there. Really good fun for the kids. It's definitely one that I recommend like an entry point because it's nice and small, it's quite cheap, it's sort of self-contained in this little tin. Ours came with a cute little boat. Yeah, apart from that, it's a little bit basic, but you know, good fun despite that. My kids really liked it. Next one was Windmill Valley. So this one's been getting a lot of hype this year, and essentially it's just you're building, you're working in, I think it's like Holland, where they had like the tulips and the windmills, and essentially you're trying to get like the best tulip garden, but there's like loads of other ways to score, including like getting contracts so you can build windmills to get score points through that, or what else is there? But basically loads of different ways to score. Really, really well produced. Love the little tiny tokens for the tulips and the big windmills to sort of sit at the different fields and you know, sort of trigger those to do things. And the central conceit is this sort of action selection thing with a couple of cogs, and you can sort of build the cogs to sort of change the abilities on them as well, but you have to turn them, and if you turn them a certain way it increases this water level mechanic, which is a little bit for, you know, somewhere else on the board. Really good fun, really enjoyed that one. Very point salady though. One thing I was struggling a little bit with is there's lots of little tiny actions that sort of trigger during your turn, so keeping an eye on your combos was a bit tricky, but I got there in the end. And then the last game we played this month was Glory to Rome. So this is a very, very expensive, very, very old, out of print game where the designer and the publisher have basically had a massive falling out. The conceit is that you've got Rome and you're trying to build Rome, but it's all the action is done through cards, and the cards have like 4 different uses essentially. They can either be like a patron, a material, they can be put into your stockpile, or they can be actually used for what they are. Like they have their own individual abilities as well. So much to think about on your turn, but it gets easier as you play because your options sort of reduce and then go up and then reduce and go up. And it's one of those sort of games where you find that as your options narrow, you start to see a path towards your victory. And that's how you sort of, you know, progress through it. The chap I played it with, though, he'd made his own. So it's out of print, really hard to get, very, very expensive. But somebody on Board Game Geek has created their own version of it using all custom artwork. Absolutely gorgeous, much prettier than the original. And he's had the cards made up really nice. It looks really, really cool. So I definitely recommend that one. Which is strange because we played its a sort of spiritual successor called Matainai, which is basically like the Japanese themed version of Glory to Rome, and didn't get on with it, strangely. So yeah, it's quite nice. We've also got White Castle and Wingspan, which you never played, so we've still got to play that one. On to the next one, video games. So, managed to get my Asus ROG back up and running, which has been fantastic. So, playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm on like the last 2 chapters or something, which I've just got to finish off. The other thing with the ROG has been to get it to do emulation. So, one of my big projects this month has been backing up all my PS1, PS2 and PS3 games through jailbreaking a PS3. So this is a way to legally download your own ROMs so that you can sort of put them onto your, you know, whatever your emulator of choice, and you get to play your games, because obviously no condoning piracy here at all, your own games that you've legally backed up on a, you know, more modern hardware, so you can sort of do upscaling and nice things like that. Sorry, the lighting keeps changing because I think this thing is interfering with this thing, so if I get a bit closer, yeah, the lighting gets a bit better, but, you know, tough. Then the other thing was I finished my Game Boy, my Kirby GameBoy Advance, And the first game I played on it when it was finished was Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance, I think it's called. Absolutely brilliant game. 200%ed it within like 2 days. Really enjoyed it, and it's one of the reasons I'm sort of trying to get back into retro gaming. Is they just have these sort of condensed, smallish gaming experiences which are nice and tight, and you feel like you've accomplished something, and then you can sort of go back and do it again another time or do it better. And this is a classic example of that, in that I was able to play it over a few days, complete it, 200% it, and just really enjoy the whole thing, all the mechanics, the whole thing. And then the last one is Killzone Mercenaries on the PS Vita. So just scrolling around looking for thirds, and I've happened to spot on Amazon of all places that they had a PS Vita game. I assume this is some sort of third party seller that does like second hand games. Oh, kitty's just come in. Hello. You right? Yeah, third party seller who's just sort of using Amazon as a way to sell their wares. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Ta-da. Let's see if that lighting comes back. No. Yeah, so just playing that. It seems nice. It says shoot 'em up, but there's some extra bits you can pick up during the levels to make money, and then spend the money to get better weapons. Seems fun, and it was just a way for me to get my PS Vita out, because I've not played it very much since I bought it. The few games that came with it aren't really my style, like beat-em-ups and things like that. And the reason for getting it was to sort of play my PS4 through the remote play. But it turns out the ROG can do that better than the Vita, so oh well. Hi, got another one. Hello. Right, I'm trying to do something. Go away. Okay, then game design stuff. Haven't done anything. Basically, I've got a plan to do something, but it's going to be after summer holidays have finished, essentially. So yeah, just going to wait until then and then go back to it, hopefully with a bit of gusto, a bit more energy. Projects. So this is the first project I wanted to sort of point out, is a portable screen. So my old laptop basically died, or was dying, and rather than just sort of throw it away or recycle it, I decided to turn it into a secondary monitor for me to use for things. And essentially all I had to do was buy a driver board, which was quite cheap. You can see part of it there, but the driver board is very specific to the model of screen. You buy that, you wire that into the driver board, and essentially turns it into, as I said, a portable monitor. And then I built myself this incredibly ugly stand for it to sit on, but it is sort of adjustable, so I can sort of move it around a bit. Yeah, and it's a really, really nice screen that I can now use for, secondary monitor, which has been really good. The Game Boy Advance, the Kirby one, broke, unfortunately. Yeah, the mod that I did to it so that you can have an IPS screen in it, which is like really nice and clear and punchy. I think some of the wires have been pinched inside, so basically it's now stuck on like this green effect that you can, and won't let me select anything else, so I need to dig back in there. However, we did do a small quick mod which inserts a rechargeable battery into them, which is really, really simple. Basically you just sort of chuck this battery thing in to where the batteries would normally go, and it just takes over. Really, really cool because it charges through USB-C. Oh yeah, we did have to drill out a USB-C slot in the bottom of the battery case just to make sure that would fit. Yeah, lets you charge. Let's charge through USB-C. You can charge whilst playing, which is a fantastic addition, and it lasts much, much longer than a couple of rechargeable AA's. So quids in, and I've been really enjoying that. Oh, we already talked about the jailbreaking the PS3, so I can back up all my games. And books, I'm still on the Tank War. So this is a World War II tank battles book, going over some of the regiments from the British Army that were over there doing some fighting in Egypt and that. And yeah, basically it's quite a slog. It's hard to read, but interesting at the same time. It's really weird. Like I'm finding I'm struggling to get through lots of pages. Not because of like the content, which I'm finding very fascinating, but more to do with like just the sheer amount of text in each page. I'm really sorry, this colour thing's going to be all over the place based on whatever image is on there. Okay, so despite trying to go for a very short video, I've managed to record a fair old bit. Over 10 minutes of footage, although a lot of that will be cut off. Yeah, so hopefully next month get back to it, back to the game design stuff. Bit of game design. Hopefully get back to this one here, Dragon Ranch. Which I broke, unfortunately. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll see you later, and yeah, see you in August. Goodbye.